first of all, I want to tell you that I read your story, which really shocked me. The story was brilliant and very sensitive to me and familiar because of the problematic you were touching in there. So the problematic is the femicide. I want to say that. What was the inspiration for you for writing this?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm so glad to share this space with you and to have a conversation from so distant geographical points, but nevertheless having a starting point that connects us strongly, that is future and science fiction. That I think it has been a very useful tool to cope with these times. I think science fiction has been very generous with us in this pandemic time, so I'm very glad. So thank you for also for your words about They Will Dream in the Garden. It's a very important story for me, since I wrote it really from the heart and with a desire to make it happen, with a desire to even conjure a little bit the future. I believe that we can do that with words. I truly believe that we can shape our world, our future, our reality with words. So that's why we should be very cautious with words and with the fictions or the narratives that we are creating, because they have the immense possibility to be reality someday. That was a story asked for a project, an anthology about femicide in Mexico, which is a very big problem we have in my country. So I was in trouble because femicide is a very serious matter, painful reality. So how could I make a story that honored that importance, but at the same time not to lose myself as an author, because I couldn't make a realistic story, because I'm not like that. I'm not a realistic writer. I don't believe in realism at all. I think it's a subgenre too, but I am not interested in writing it. I was not interested in dwell on reality about femicide, because of that we had a lot already. We have a lot of statistics, a lot of numbers, a lot of names, a lot of data, and a lot of news every day, horrible, real, painful news. My main question was, what can I add to this theme to be of value? And I think the only thing I was able to bring was hope. And hope is a very good thing science fiction is good for. So I look at my surroundings, at my experience, and I notice that already today, and when I wrote the story, which was about 5 years ago, already exist groups of people, groups of women that put a fight on that issue, that we were living this together, that we were fighting together with strength and compassion and love, and with memory, and with a lot of tools that you don't have another way to make through dark situations and dark times than to be very, very generous with each other, and with the strength and with the compassion you show to to the others, to the families that had lost their relatives, their mothers, their sisters, their friends. So I noticed that existed already and existed today. And the most wonderful thing is that from the point I wrote the story to now, that has been growing. It's like a very living, a very alive thing, women's movement against violence. It's worldwide, it's spreading in forms of joy and music and yeah, a lot of pain and rage also. But it has a very complex life, so it's growing. It's like heading towards there. So I feel so happy that
you are inspiring so many people to fight against violence, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, yes, and I think just that we can do that with our narratives. We can observe the things that could make a better future, and build our narratives with that kind of seeds. We saw these seeds in the present, and we make them grow in narratives, and maybe we'll have different realities.
When we see that society is trying to blame the sacrifice, the killed, the dead woman, I could not explain this, how society can be that indifferent. Do you have any answers to this question, why society sometimes acts like that?
Men had a lot of privilege in our societies in general, in the heteropatriarchal society, in these regions of the world that have very strict codes of behavior for women, but also for very free world status for women too. So that's very confusing. That's what confuses right now. It's not only what we thought were traditionally strict cultures or violent cultures toward women, but our world is a very hostile place right now everywhere for women. And I think it has to do with this resistance of change, because if we are truly getting there to equality, to justice, men had to change a lot of things, to renounce a lot of privilege, to renounce to be the only authority that it is in terms of art, culture, government, religious. All that old world has to disappear in order to have a new world with equality. So the resistance of that turns into violence. It's not like, I don't want to change, I don't want things, change happens so I can change a lot of things for myself. This is not fair. It's not only that, but it's like, no, I have a place and you have a place, and I'll get you back into your place with violence. And there's a lot of forms of violence. It's not only physical violence or sexual violence, but invisibilization, subestimation. There's a lot of tiny little quotidian things that are violences that if they do not work, they do not have the women submitted in her place, then it turns into violence, into physical and sexual violence, because that's the easiest way to do it. And what happens in Mexico, I don't know how is the situation in Georgia, but what happens in Mexico is that there's a lot of impunity. The government does nothing to solve the crimes because they don't give value to women's lives. So men feel entitled to do whatever they want to women, and there's no consequences. So that is also the other fight, the women's fight to make accountable the authorities and the society, because it's not one thing or another, everything is integrated. From the little quotidian things to the big structures of government and justice. And also the core of this is masculinity. Masculinity has to change in order to end violence, not only towards women, but towards animals, towards the planet, towards themselves. So I think that is the most big problem, that someone has to change here greatly, and that is masculine values, masculinity itself, which is the root of our political structures, even our religious beliefs. So that has to change first. Men have to change first.
Classical science fiction always tried to find some solutions for many problems which we see in our societies, but did you find any answers to this masculinist problem in classic science fiction, for example?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of interesting explorations of masculinity in science fiction, because it is such a free country to be in, imagination, speculative fiction. You can be free there, and you can explore, or you can show the consequences of this toxicity. So I think, for example, I love how men in Theodore Sturgeon's science fiction are portrayed. I think Theodore Sturgeon is a great observer of masculinity. The Crystal Jewels, which I love. It's a great novel, and it's about a circus and aliens and very, very weird stuff, but with a boy at the center. The issue with being a fragile boy. I think Ursula K. Le Guin's novels, each of them, or even her short stories, each one of them have great characters asking themselves issues with their masculinity. Reading these kind of characters maybe can take male readers realize their own issues about masculinity and inequality. James Tiptree Jr., Alice Sheldon, well, she's the master of that. She is an excellent observer of these dynamics, these power dynamics, and this like many masks of masculinity and how they harm our environment and the other people. And yeah, I think there are a lot of good examples on science fiction to confront that.
Mm-hmm. So what can be changed now to reach equality, gender equality, to create better future for women specifically?
I think self-awareness is very important right now. If we are women, like to look our cultural scripts, if they are not making us do things that we don't want to do, keeping lives that we don't want to have, and do like the most for escaping those scripts. I think for men is the same thing, but for women, we have very internalized as good things, many things that are not good for us as human beings. Like being nice, for example, being nice to everyone. I think being kind is a must for every human being, but being nice for us is like mandatory, and we live in a very hostile world and we need to speak up for ourselves. So stop being nice, because the world is not nice with us. That's for women, I think. Don't stop being kind, but stop being nice. And for men, I think, well, also for women, the friendship with other women is what is going to save us in this very hostile world. I think building these kind of relationships are making us stronger and are building a better world itself, because we are making spaces of kindness and friendship and community that that are teaching to those who surround us that kind of relationships are possible. So I think friendship is a very important thing to us women. And I think for male, I don't like to divide these two categories, because we know there's a lot of possibilities, but putting it like simplifying a lot, I think men have to observe themselves, and also with these cultural scripts, and you don't really want to be violent. It's not biology, it's not destiny, it's culturalization, it's education. If men were educated that way can be make in reverse. Yeah, it can be unlearned, and you can learn another ways to be with each other and talk a lot with other men. You also need friendship, but good friendship, not friendship that hides your mischievous conducts and have a little chat group to share photos of beautiful women. No, I think male friendships can go so much deeper and make each other accountable for your faults, and talk a lot about how are you feeling and how to deal with your own violence, because it's not easy. It's a very horrible thing to know that you can harm, especially if you were educated not to control it, but to be allowed and to be encouraged to do so. So I think that friendship is also very, very important. And also to give authority to women, to listen to their voices, to not like, oh yeah, well, women speaking, oh, women talk so much, oh, they don't have anything important to say. That's the root of every gap we have between us. I think the public voice of women must be also a voice of authority, you trust that this person is going to give value for your life if you listen to her. So I think give value to what women have to say, either in fiction or either in your house. If your mom tells to do something, it's because it has to be done, for example, right? I think there's a lot of mocking to these female authority figures like aunts and grandmas and mothers, because it seems like they are always bickering and they are always molesting us. They are always annoying. But the truth is that they are always telling us that there are things to be done to live better in the house, in the school, in life. So I think we should like revalue that kind of communication and give authority to women, So, so our lives can have to start be valuable. That's horrible to say, but that is true. Right now, it seems like like we don't have value. So in the society, speaking as a member of a society, it's like we are second-class citizens, and that could possibly not be the case for the future. We have to give value to every life.
If you believe in progress and in technologies, and if we as a species, people are going to become more advanced, become a different form of life, what do you think can be the understanding of gender in that kind of future?
That's so interesting, and it's so full of possibilities, because I think when we think, for example, of this incipient AIs, artificial intelligences like, I don't know, Siri or Alexa, which are now in our lives, everyday lives. And we look at how masculine and feminine roles are also there. Like, we are not, in the present, of course, but in the future, we could get rid of that. In the present, we still associate a lot of female values to AI that looks like women, or the voice is a female voice, a feminine voice, and others to the masculine appearance or voice or name. So unless we change that, everything is going to be the same. We are like transporting our values to the things we make. So the same with travel to other planets or trying to colonize other planets. If we think that nature is there to be exploited and like with no mercy and with no control, we are still going to do that in other worlds. It doesn't matter how much technologically advanced we become, if we are not changing these like dichotomical views, this binarism, this way of doing things are going to remain the same. And I think technology is absolutely neutral. It's an absolutely blank space to build another kind of things. So as more diverse people is working on technologies, I think they will develop more diverse possibilities for that kind of technologies. I mean, people who are not who are non-binary, people who are from other contexts, from Latin America, from Africa, from South Asia, making technologies. They are going to make things that respond to other imaginations and experiences of life and values, and yeah, they can shift the perspective. So I think we should aim for a more diverse world, making also more diverse technology, because if not, we are going to be stuck in this in these fembots from the 60s. We are going to make them a reality in 10 or 12 years. I think our fantasies are not innocent. They reveal power structures. They reveal desires. So we have to look first, what are our desires? And what are these power structures that define our dreams, our expectations of what technology should bring. So I think that is a lot of work to do first in order to make, to be responsible with technology. As you were saying, we improvise a lot. And that is wonderful also because improvising lets you to discover things, but also like improvised implementation of technology and not creation. I think that's the problem. When you implement something that we are not ready for, not because we are dumb or something like that, but because we haven't thought a lot, what does that implicate? What does that mean? What does that would affect our psyche? I think we should be more mature with our choice.
What is the most dangerous version of future for you as a writer and a woman?
Oh my God, that's so scary. I think the idea that there's no future. I think the idea of everything remaining the same is the worst scenario for us, because we need to the things, the state of things being very different, and we need it like now. We need it in order to stop dying in the first place. It's very painful for me to admit that when I wrote that short story, it was like, I think, eight femicides a day, and now we are heading to 11. So it's horrible. It's like, if things remain like this, which is another science fictional starting point, if things are the same, we are not going to make it. Mm-hmm. So that's why women are so angry right now. That's why we are seeing this protest, burning things and with a lot of crying and shouting, because it's terrible. And it's not it's not only a degree of impunity or unconsciousness that is affecting us as a human group, but also like with the planet. The war against women, which is a term of several feminist theorists in Latin America, the war against women, it has to do with a war against territory, which is a very important discussion right now, also in Latin America. Territory is land is on dispute now because of the great interests of corporations, mining corporations, big companies that want to take the land for their enrichment, their purposes. And women are at the front of this fight. Women are, especially indigenous women, are, and also indigenous men, are fighting for the land and for territories. So diminishing women and what women represent in these communities and also in urban places is at the core of this war against nature, against another way of life for the future that respects nature, respects life, that builds a healthier relationship with Earth. I think everything of this is connected: urban violence and land violence against women, against land and against women. So that would be the worst future, that we lost that fight, that our voices are once more silenced and being mocked at, like, you women, that would be the worst for us now, losing that, because we are not only losing that battle, but the whole humanity is going to lose that battle if they don't have us to defend this, to defend life, to protect life. So it's not good for anyone, but hopefully we are stronger. I want to believe that.
Thank you for such a nice conversation.